Cherie's weight loss journey. Oh man, we're doing a local walk today. Hold on. Yes, we're doing a local walk in the neighborhood. Because I'm starting to realize that maybe my dog doesn't need long walks with me, right? A short walk would be suffice. And then when she's okay, we're okay. Come on. So, now y'all know, we seen yesterday's video. I bought me some snacks. Was I able to resist those snacks? Nope. Right? Tried to increase my fiber a little bit. But I got to tell you, I could not go the first day with that stuff in my house without eating it. So yeah, we had some nutty buddies, and gosh, I did have a few. Then of course I had to have some Fritos. Yeah. Now I did good. I did good on the yogurt. I did good on that. And I'll probably, when I get back home, I'll probably have some yogurt and granola. Okay? And yeah. Then I'll feed the dog some bone broth with turmeric and her dog food. And then I'll feel like, we got our day started out right. So I woke up about 9:30, did my lightweight exercises, tried to decide, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful day, should you get out and go to work and try to get a couple of deliveries in, make a little change, right? And I want to. I do. But sometimes I be feeling like, there are people out here struggling a lot harder than I am. I'm struggling for sure. But, oh shit, didn't see that dog. Oop, let's cross the street. Whoa. That Doberman had no respect for my old pit bull. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Now that dog there, he need one of those claw chokers, right? Yeah. Big Doberman too. So yeah. So yesterday I was watching videos on technology and TSA, right? How TSA is becoming, I wouldn't say more stricter, because they were supposed to do the things that they're doing now, but they just got lackadaisical, right? And so a lot of things, slid by them. And then now these agents are going to be replaced with AI robot detection, right? And I was like, okay, but they were saying that because AI, is not not able to actually censor things, but maybe has images, and from those images, you know, it it provides the possibility of things. So they were saying that even a protein bar can look like a miniature brick of of what is C4? Anyway, an explosive, mechanism, right? Because when we're traveling, we try to figure out ways that we could travel that won't stop us from traveling, but will provide us, whatever comfort we need. If it's food, because airport food is bad, right? And it's expensive. Okay? So, people have tried to devise ways like getting a protein bar, to bring protein bars so that, they can at least keep their energy up and get their nutrition until they can go someplace and get, maybe a home cooked meal. Well, the video that I watched yesterday had me almost fearful that, oh my gosh, I could be held in suspension for investigation just because, I brought a box of protein bars with me, or even one protein bar. So that there was like deflating, my desire to travel, because here not only can I have a protein bar, but I can have a variety of protein bars at my disposal. And come on. So yeah. And then, people try to glamorize, living abroad. when living abroad could be even more corrupt, even more unsafe, and then, you don't have the conveniences of fresh water, uh, electricity, and privacy. Oh my gosh, privacy it costs higher than here, right? You you're you were complaining about, your 700-foot apartment, and you had all of the conveniences, and then you go to a foreign country, and then you go and try to glamorize. Oh my gosh, we have a 800, 700-foot apartment, and it's old. They call it quaint. You know, the conveniences of, full-size refrigerator, dishwasher, uh, you know, uh, kitchen open up into the living room, stuff like that, you're not going to have that over there. Now, there was this couple who went to Nice, right? They're a couple, so they probably have, dual income. And they're retired, they sold their home, and they went to Nice to go live. And I was like, oh, that's nice, And they talked about, their apartment being 700 approximately square feet. But what the owner had did was he had combined two apartments and was updating it. So they were glad to get the apartment because it was an updated, uh, size apartment that, we're used to. We're used to having a lot more space. And there's a good reason for it too. I mean, Americans are usually a lot bigger than most people in general. And not necessarily just because, oh, they're fat, right? You have to understand the average American, the average woman, I think they're like 5'4", and the average male is 5'10". Okay? And then in other countries, their height changes, right? Their average woman is 5 foot or even shorter, some places. And then the males, their average height is like 5'6", 5'8" is tall. So, needing more space is understandable, right? And that was one of the things that I had thought about, when, I used to get the attention of some basketball players when I was younger, right? I was like, oh my God, everything has to be custom for those guys, right? Cars had to be custom for them, beds, clothes, everything, because, our society just doesn't, accommodate them because they're not the average person. Okay? And yes, they could be very attractive and beautiful and talented and, you know, and my thought is, yeah, use your talent because you're going to need it, you know, because instead of those, you know, 8-foot ceilings, you might want to have at least about 10 or 12. In case one day you wake up and want to do jumping jacks. Right? And it was funny to me when you see like a big tall man, get out of a sports car. And we're all looking like, huh? How did you get in there? Or, huh? We know you glad to get out of that car. Right? So, that's the one good thing about being, regular degular. And then, as you get older, right? Like when you're sick and you need help, one person can't just flip you over. You're gonna need at least 2, probably 4 is preferred if you're like shit 6'8" and 7 feet and 300 pounds. Nobody's trying to break their back just to give you a bath. So, when I had recognized, my mind went immediately to that kind of thinking. I was like, no, these basketball players and football players, they're definitely not for me. Definitely. So, yeah, it seemed appealing at one time, but no. And then the food, right? Can you imagine, having to feed someone who can eat 4 or 5,000 calories a day? What? Yeah. How much would that cost? So, almost like, let's keep it real. Those are special people, and, they're going to have to live a special life. Now, some people who are very tall, they can get away with, because their weight isn't heavy, right? So say you're 6'5", You know, you can get away with stuff. Like I know some women that are 6 feet, and and they'll go, and a lot of their clothes are what we would call floodwaters, right? And I don't know why I keep getting this mail for this food. And that's what he was. He was a real, uh, he was the biggest fool I ever known in my whole life. I don't know anybody that was more foolish, more, uh, reckless than that guy. And he was proud of it too. He used to call himself a thug. And he blamed his mama. Anyway.